We're here today to look at critical thinking and extensive reading. And I want to pick up on three themes which were mentioned in a panel on reading I was on in Cardiff at IATEFL last year. And there were simply three big ideas. One from Marianne Wolf's book, Proust and the Squid, with a subtitle, We Were Never Born to Read, emphasizing the fact that there are in fact no genes for reading and that it's the unique plastic design of our brains that enables us to create neural pathways, and so that learning to read is very literally a mind-changing experience. The second point, which I will pick up on, was that reading and writing are so new. It was only 6,000 years ago that the Sumerians in what is now present-day Iraq started reading and writing. And in a very human way, they set up schools called E-Daba, or Duba. Began with E anyway, they were very advanced, the Sumerians. And in these schools, the kids copied what was on one side of a clay tablet onto the other. The extent to which ELT methodology has developed over the years is quite clear, because when thousands of these tablets were found, many of them on the reverse had the message, "And then the teacher caned me." The third thing I want to pick up from last time was the Greek invention of the alphabet, invented 750 BC, completely ignored, and when it began to be used in the 4th century BC, Socrates, of all people, rubbished reading, calling it, "You have created a device for forgetting, not for remembering," and insisting on the preeminence of the spoken word over the written word. And the Socratic insistence on analyzed thought, on the examined word, is the third thing that I'll come back to this morning. So last year I had a look at how people read. This year I want to look at what people read and how we respond to it. Those are my aims. I wonder what your aims for this session are. Would you like to have a look and reflect? For whatever reason that we are here, one reason I take as common is our shared interest in reading. And I want to set the tone. It'll all be downhill from now on, but I'll set the tone quite high with a quote from Virginia Woolf. "Reading has changed the world and continues to change it. When the day of judgment comes and all secrets are laid bare, we shall not be surprised to learn that the reason why we have grown from apes to men and left our caves and dropped our bows and arrows and sat around the fire and talked and given to the poor and helped the sick, the reason why we have made shelter and society out of the wastes of the desert and the tangle of the jungle is simply this: we have loved reading." Now, in the title for this talk, we've got a very popular buzzword, CLIL, and there are so many definitions of it. You know, they seek it here, they seek it there. I've put up a definition from a recent book, Uncovering CLIL, which I think is a very interesting one, in the sense that it's the student's desire to understand and use the content that motivates him to learn the language. And the same three authors, Mehisto, Marsh and Freegols, point out something which I'm sure is common ground to all of us, that there's nothing new in the world at all, under the sun, and that this new ELT fashion of CLIL is as old as reading and writing. And that in fact, you remember, my friends, the Sumerians I mentioned, the ones with the cane and the clay tablets, 6,000 years ago. Well, 5,000 years ago, they were overrun by the Akkadians, and these people, Mehisto, Marsh and Freegols, point out that the Akkadians instituted the first version of CLIL then by learning the Sumerian language by being taught zoology, botany and theology through it. So CLIL 5,000 years ago. For me, I don't think it's anything particularly new. 30 years ago in the UK, with summer courses for overseas teenagers, we regularly team-taught with science teacher and English teacher in the same class, English through art, English through sport, English through science. And on my first trips to working in Central and Eastern Europe, and then my first trips to the South Cone of South America, I went to bilingual schools, Argentina, Uruguay. Bilingual education was the norm. Everyone was learning English through learning a subject. 15 hours in the morning in one language, 15 hours, not in the morning, 15 hours a week in one language, 15 hours a week in another. So we can say that what we can take from this new ELT fashion, for me, is the first word, content. Content is back. And I therefore, in a cheap attempt at winning popularity and getting an audience, invented an acronym. You won't find it in any listing of acronyms, but I liked the sound of it. CILL. Overkill, probably, yeah. And if I had a video pointer, which I don't, I could say that that's made up of CILLL, content in language learner literature. Now, language learner literature is a relatively new phrase. It was introduced by the Extensive Reading Foundation to categorize the books to which they award prizes each year. And at this conference, there is a list displayed of the finalists for this year's competition.